Imagine sitting in a room, everyone around you whispering, chuckling. A laugh echoes, soft, almost playful, but it's aimed at you. Your stomach tightens, your pulse races. You can feel your face flush, your hands tremble, and yet, when you ask, "What's funny?" the room goes silent. The laughter stops, but the shame lingers. For some, this is not just a fleeting moment of embarrassment, it's a lifelong terror, a fear so consuming that even a friendly giggle can feel like a predator circling its prey. Why does the human mind fracture under something as ordinary as laughter? Why can a simple social cue, designed to connect, to lighten a moment, to bond, sometimes feel like a weapon aimed directly at our sense of self? For most, laughter is a signal of joy, of inclusion, of shared experience. But for some, it triggers something far darker. Every giggle, every snicker, every whisper of amusement can become a source of dread, a reminder that the world is watching, judging, ready to expose their flaws. This is gelotophobia, not mere shyness, not fleeting embarrassment, but an irrational, overwhelming fear of being laughed at. It is a terror that infiltrates the mind, reshaping perception, twisting social interactions into minefields, and leaving the sufferer hyper-aware, vulnerable, and isolated. Tonight, we step into those shadowy corridors of the mind, exploring a world where laughter is no longer innocent, but a subtle predator, waiting, watching, ready to strike. Segment 1. The Disturbing History. The fear of laughter is far from a modern invention. It has haunted humans for centuries, weaving through the very fabric of society. In medieval Europe, jesters occupied a paradoxical position. Entertainers adored for their wit, yet feared for their power to humiliate. With a single quip, a well-timed joke, or a pointed gesture, a jester could strip a king bare, exposing insecurities that even armies could not touch. Scholars of the time warned that laughter could wound the spirit as effectively as a sword could wound the body. To be mocked publicly was not merely uncomfortable, it was a potential threat to survival, a mechanism that enforced social hierarchies through ridicule. By the 19th century, as psychology began to probe the human mind with the precision of a scalpel, researchers identified a subset of individuals for whom laughter was not amusement, it was terror. These were not merely shy or socially awkward people. They were victims of what Sigmund Freud might call a wound to the ego, a fracture of self-perception triggered by ridicule and mockery. In The Ego and the Id, Freud described humans as creatures, motivated not only by desire but by the fear of exposure, of their hidden flaws being revealed. For those with gelotophobia, laughter becomes a spotlight, highlighting imagined imperfections, amplifying insecurities, and projecting vulnerability to the world. Across cultures, this fear manifests in striking ways. In Japan, the concept of Haji, a deep soul-crushing shame, warns of social exile. In Persian culture, charm denotes humiliation so profound it can ostracize an individual. Across centuries, societies have recognized that laughter is not always benign. It can wound, control, and isolate. Segment 2. The Science Behind the Fear. At the neurological level, gelotophobia lights up the same areas of the brain as trauma or acute social rejection. The amygdala, the brain's threat sensor, fires in overdrive. Sweat pours, heart rate spikes, muscles tighten. Your body is preparing for a fight, except the threat is not physical, it's social. Researchers have identified 3 core components of gelotophobia. 1. Hypervigilance, constantly scanning faces and voices for signs of ridicule. 2. Internalized shame, a belief that one's flaws are not only visible, but irresistible targets for mockery. 3. Avoidance behavior, steering clear of social interactions where laughter might occur, which ironically reinforces the fear. Studies show that about 5 to 7% of adults exhibit clinically significant gelotophobia, and it often coexists with social anxiety disorders, depression, and even paranoia. But unlike general social anxiety, which can be mitigated by exposure and cognitive therapy, gelotophobia is uniquely anchored to the perception of mockery. A smile could be friendly, or it could be a prelude to ridicule, and the brain cannot easily tell the difference. Physiologically, the fear is real. Experiments using MRI scans reveal that when a gelotophobic individual hears laughter, the amygdala and anterior insula, Regions tied to pain and disgust light up. The brain interprets laughter as a social attack, triggering an almost primal defensive response. One neuroscientist described it as the mind reading laughter as a dagger aimed at the heart of the self. Segment 3. A famous real-world case study. Consider Henrietta L., a woman whose life, on paper, seemed enviable. Documented by German psychologist Dr. Willibald Ruch, one of the foremost researchers on gelotophobia, her story reveals the insidious power of fear. Henrietta had an impeccable career, colleagues who respected her, friends who cherished her, and a family that adored her. Yet beneath this veneer of success, a hidden terror shaped every interaction. A simple dinner party, filled with laughter and casual conversation, could send her heart racing, palms sweating, stomach knotted. Each giggle, each soft whisper of amusement, felt like a predator circling. At work, the phenomenon was even more acute. A colleague's playful teasing, a joke anyone else would shrug off, would compel her to retreat to the restroom trembling, her mind spinning with imagined humiliation. She became convinced that every laugh in the office, however innocent, was a secret attack directed at her. Over time, this fear became self-reinforcing. She avoided promotions to escape potential ridicule, declined invitations to social gatherings, and gradually lived in the shadows of her own life. A brilliant mind imprisoned by imagined judgment. Dr. Ruch's interviews traced these patterns back to early childhood. Henrietta had been mocked relentlessly for her weight and accent, internalizing the notion that laughter equaled humiliation. By adulthood, the fear had detached from specific memories. It became a lens through which she interpreted the world. Every chuckle was a potential threat, every smile a signal of betrayal. Gelotophobia, in Henrietta's case, demonstrates its cruel paradox. The more one fears laughter, the more it is perceived, and the deeper the social isolation grows, until the mind itself becomes a cage. The twist and application. You might not have gelotophobia, but think about the last time a laugh cut through a conversation, seemingly harmless yet sending a shiver down your spine. Maybe it was a friend's nervous giggle, a coworker's soft snicker, or even a laugh from across a crowded room. Your heart skipped, your skin prickled. That fleeting moment of social unease felt larger than life, even if rationally you knew there was nothing to fear. This is the shadow of gelotophobia in all of us, the primal wiring that alerts the mind to social threats. Psychologists call this phenomenon the social pain overlap. The same regions of the brain that process physical injury, the anterior cingulate cortex, the amygdala, the insula, light up when we feel humiliation or rejection. Emotional pain becomes bodily pain. That accidental laugh, that whispered giggle, triggers a cascade of signals that the mind interprets as a threat, a strike against our very sense of self. In that instant, laughter is no longer joy, it is danger. Even if you've never feared being laughed at, your brain carries a dormant version of this fear, a mini gelotophobia, encoded in the neural circuitry that once helped our ancestors survive social hierarchies and protect their status within a tribe. Awareness of this wiring doesn't just illuminate the lives of those who suffer from the full-blown condition, it reflects a fundamental truth about human nature. We are exquisitely sensitive to social signals, exquisitely vulnerable to judgment, and herein lies the subtle power. Sometimes, the best defense is not avoidance or deflection, but empathy. Seeing the silent terror behind a smile, understanding the mind's hidden alarms, can turn fear into connection and mockery into understanding. Gelotophobia is a stark reminder that fear doesn't always come from the dark. It can come from joy itself, from something we associate with connection. But what if the mind could weaponize even more subtle cues? Micro-expressions, fleeting gestures, the silent signals we rarely notice. These can trigger anxieties far beyond laughter. The next time you notice someone flinch at humor, or feel your own pulse spike at a whispered joke, ask yourself, are we reading reality or projecting our deepest insecurities? And that is why you need to watch the next videos.